So we're looking at this picture. Any guesses what this might be? Somebody said grass. I don't know. What? Houses? What? Coal? Good guess.
It looked like a stack of guns first, and then you brought it closer.
Okay, y'all need to chill.
No, I said trees.
Trees. Those are all really good guesses. What this actually is the remnants of a damaged scroll. This scroll was damaged at the eruption of Mount Vesuvius in Pompeii. Okay? And what happened was when they found it, what was the year they found it? I have to look it up. Where is it? 200 years ago-ish, they found this ancient papyrus scroll, right? We were just talking about papyrus, and they glued it onto cardboard to preserve it. Not exactly museum quality preservation techniques, but they were afraid that it would fall to pieces. And so they glued it onto cardboard, but the scroll is a history of Plato's Academy from Greece, ancient Greece, but it also had some writing on the back. But they couldn't read the writing on the back because it was glued onto the cardboard. So the scroll originally came from a library in a town, not actually Pompeii itself, but very near Pompeii, called Herculaneum. There's a library there, and so it got caught up in this eruption of Vesuvius 2,000 years ago that also buried Pompeii. And so like I said, it's blackened, it doesn't look like a scroll, it's tattered. In fact, this guy that wrote the article said it kind of looks like what you'd find on the bottom of your barbecue. Which I thought that was kind of funny. The thing that with the eruption that destroyed the city and the areas around it, the chemicals in the air actually also, I think that was Christina's earlier. Okay, actually preserved it. And so that was, you know, a great thing because, like I said, with outside the volcano erupting, it probably would not have been preserved. So what they did is back in 1795, they found it, long time ago. They carefully unrolled it, and that was when they glued it. But it was an unusual scroll because it did have writing on the front and the back. And that was very, very unusual. But they wanted to preserve it, but like I said, obviously it's not in good shape. So they glued it down on the cardboard and left it that way, and so it only been visible on one side. And you couldn't take it off because it was very frayed, and it's just impossible. It would have destroyed it if they had tried to remove it from there. So basically the scroll is a rough draft of the story of the academy that Plato founded, written by a student of his, another philosopher named Philodemus, and he lived during the 1st century BC. And so a research team decided to try to use some technology that they had. It's called, get this, shortwave infrared spectral imaging, to see if they could see what was on the back. And so earlier this year, they found that they could read the back with this imaging. And they discovered that what was on the back was Philodemus had made notes on the back, the way authors will do about, you know, move this here and insert this here. And so we see the process that he was going through as he was making this scroll. And there were words that they could see more clearly, that they had on the front even, because when they used this imaging, it increased the contrast. So the translation that was made was actually corrected when they could see the words better. Like there was one word that they had read it as the Greek word for charmed, but the new imaging showed that it actually said enslaved. Okay, so that's a big difference, right? So it made it a little bit clearer. It brought some of the details about Plato's Academy that they didn't really know out. What now we know things more than we knew before. We now know that Plato's Academy began earlier than anybody thought it did. So it brought a whole lot of kind of new history to see something that hasn't been read in 2,000 years. So that's kind of crazy that it's been that long. Here's a picture of them actually scanning it. Oh, chair falls out from under me. It's under the spectral imaging scope or whatever it's called. Let's see. So I just thought that was really interesting because we talked about all this ancient history in Greece, and there's a scroll that was actually from there.
It looks more like
Yeah, it looks a little bit more like a scroll now. So I thought that was really cool. Thank you, NPR, for reporting on interesting details of historical things. All right. Which paper do I want? Okay, I took out my papers and I moved them around, and then I jumped where they are. Okay. Your teacher is a flake. All right, well, we won't do that part right now. We'll do something else. All right, take out a piece of paper. We're going to do a little medieval history review. And I'm just going to ask you to, I'm going to give you a topic. I want you to write down the topic. And then I just want you to write words that you think of when you think of that topic. So you're not going to write everything you know, but you're going to write down words that you know go with that topic. Does that make sense?
Are we gonna be turning it in?
Yes, you will be turning it in. So put your name on it so I don't have to pass it around later. Okay, the first topic, is Charlemagne. Just words that you know have something to do with Charlemagne.
Not words you think of when you hear it.
Or when you think of any words that you connect with Charlemagne. Words that come to mind, words that you know about him or connected to him, like, you know, like if you wanted, I'm trying to think of a word to put in there that, you know, like emperor or king or something like that. It would apply to Charlemagne. I don't figure out what I did with those different papers. Okay, done with Charlemagne? Okay, the next, what?
Yeah.
Yes, what?
I only have 2 words.
That's okay, two's enough. Whatever you can think of, okay? That's all you can think of, that's fine. The next one is Vikings. So you might write terrifying. Raiders. Should turn this so they can see the board. Here we go. Still rating. The next one is, gosh, 1066. And I will tell you an important battle happened in the year 1066. Somebody important came to England and won that battle. And I don't know, maybe you just read, I have no idea. That's all the words I have. The place where the battle was fought got a new king. Let's say that. Okay, still writing. Okay, the next one is the Holy Roman Emperor, or the Holy Roman Empire, we can say, either one. And actually, there's something on the board up there that connects to the Holy Roman Emperor. See some good lists happening. Very good. Still writing? Okay. You all are doing great. Okay, the next one is Magna Carta. Which actually the words themselves mean big letter. So you know, it's certainly more than a letter, but that's what those actual Latin words mean. Next one is chivalry, which we haven't talked about that much in class, but you may just know about it from prior knowledge. You might know about it from movies, lots of things you could know it from. What is chivalry? Well, if I tell you that, then you'll know. Then it has to do with knights.
Oh, okay, so much.
Not like days and nights, but like knights in shining armor. Although knights never wore shining armor, but that's okay. Knights in small amounts of armor. Whole suit of armor would not be very practical in any situation that you were in. Not a battle, not a jousting match.
This is like gonna be like a really interesting question, but Arthur is A-U-R, right?
Arthur, A-R-T-H-U-R.
I don't know how to spell that.
Arthur, like art with her at the end, but H-U-R. A-R-T-H-U-R.
Oh, thank you.
Arthur. That's how you spell
I
author.
accidentally
I always
forgot.
gonna
I'm
miss
like, I
that
couldn't
one.
remember.
Author.
Yeah.
A-U-T-H-O-R. Yep.
Okay.
They
Great way to
sound
do it.
very similar, but they.
I have the hardest time spelling Y. It's the easiest word in the world.
W-H-Y, you just,
Yeah.
your
Wait,
brain
why
gets
did I just say-
confused.
You did not say WHY.
Well, it was interesting. I was reading someone's history like quiz or something, and I could not figure out what the word they had written was. I'm like, because it was the one on the top. I'm like, what are they trying to say there? And I couldn't come up with it. And then I looked at the next quiz, and they had written Pharaoh. And I'm like, oh, this poor person had no idea how to spell Pharaoh and did it phonetically right in their own mind, and I couldn't figure it out until I saw it. I'm like, okay, now it makes sense. Now I understand. Now I'm on the same page. So that was funny. I'm like, what? Okay, next one. Surf, not like the kind you do in the ocean,
Okay.
which is spelled with a U. This is spelled with an E. There wasn't much to write about being a surf, I guess. That was fast. How about Robin Hood? Only have two left. We're almost done. Kid on Halloween came to my house trick-or-treating, and I thought he was Robin Hood, but his mom says, no, he's Peter Pan. And I felt bad. But he was really little. I don't think he cared. It's like, oh, look, it's Robin Hood. And his mom's like, no, it's Peter Pan. I'm like, oh, of course.
I see it now.
Now
I
that you
mean,
say
their
that,
costumes are
kind of similar, I thought. And he was like this tall, and I was like,
You couldn't really see all the details.
could have
when
gone
you
either
were looking down
way,
on top of him.
no. I don't know. Okay, the Crusades. Only one more after this.
Crusades are like
How do you
Please
spell
continue.
Jerusalem?
Jeru.
wait, that's how you spell cruise. What?
Jerusalem.
You're like, wait.
S-A-L-E-M. Salem.
Jerusalem.
Jerusalem. Exactly.
That's how I spell
Who
Crusades.
says history is boring? Come on, y'all. Come
I don't
on.
even
I'm
know
so
what it
lost.
is.
That's how I spell Crusades.
And the last one is the plague.
Which page?
The plague. Or the medieval plague.
Yes.
If you can't see it, quarter,
Black
it's
Plague.
P-L-A-G-U-E. Just in case.
I wrote it wrong one time. I did a Q instead of a G, and I knew it didn't sound right, but I had to bring it to my mom just to double check.
So that it was the plaque,
Black.
which is a real word. I mean, the plaque is
The
a
plaque, it was the worst.
It was the worst plaque anyone had ever seen.
I remember that.
They died when they looked upon it.
Yesterday I was looking up serial killers.
Why?
I don't know.
Ew. Ew.
Well, okay, so I was in this geography class in like 5th grade, and I looked up this guy that was like 3 bodies of rivers, and I was trying to look up more about it last night, but I couldn't remember what it was, so I was trying to find it.
Just like bodies in rivers.
I've heard that. Surprisingly, there's a lot.
There's a lot of
Surprising. I mean,
yeah, there's a lot of entries on bodies and rivers.
like
Or
that
bodies of
confused
water.
me.
I'm sure it's gonna,
No,
you're gonna
it
get a
said,
weird.
serial killer bodies
Oh, there you
found in
go.
water.
Lots of serial
I
killers
got like
must
20 results.
throw their. Okay, that's enough of that conversation. All right, are y'all done? You got all the words for that? Okay, put your name on it. Everybody, put your name on your paper.
I even put the date.
And the
I got the
date.
date too.
I just didn't put a penny
Nice.
'cause
I
I don't know
remember
what
how
it's
to
called.
You get a gold star.
Yay.
Spell it in the right way.
It's invisible, but it's there.
I'll write the location.
Look at 2 pages. Wow.
I write big.
Oh,
Oh,
you're right.
I was like, what? How?
I write big.
I got
I
two
didn't
lives.
know what to label it.
You know
I
what?
double spaced.
What to label it.
Well, I skipped one line.
I know. I'll know what it is by the fact that it's random lists. I gave the assignment, so I should be able to remember it.
Mine are numbered.
The one that I said was connected was Charlemagne was the Holy
Oh, I
Roman
put
Emperor.
Vikings.
Yeah.
And if you remember, I said that the Holy Roman Emperor was not holy or Roman, and it wasn't really an empire. It was a bunch of German states kind of stuck together.
I got
So-
non-Roman, unholy.
Okay, I want to talk about something that we haven't talked about that happened in Spain, just for a couple of minutes. I don't know if any of you have heard of the Spanish Inquisition, which was a terrible time to be alive in Spain if you were not straight up Catholic. Now, this is our friends, Ferdinand and Isabella. What did they do?
Do something.
Saint Christopher.
Right, they paid for Christopher Columbus, the Italian captain who everybody else in Europe knew that the ocean was not the size that he thought it was and the earth was not the size that he thought it was. But Ferdinand and Isabella, even though they were Spanish and he was Italian, they paid for it anyway, and surprise, surprise, they were right about the size, but they didn't know there was a continent, 2 continents there. So the other thing about Ferdinand and Isabella is they were very, very staunch Catholics. In fact, their official titles were their Catholic Majesties. They believed themselves to be defenders of the faith. They were actually related to the Pope. Isabella was, all in the family, right? And so they actually would send out spies and soldiers to find people in Spain who were secretly practicing Judaism or Islam. And if they were, they would be arrested. And they actually had a license from the Pope to operate the Spanish Inquisition. It was an arm of the state. It was an official state-run program. And their chief inquisitor was a really scary guy named Torquemada. And he was a torturer, basically. He was also very ruthless. And when you came to court, basically he got to decide. Either you were Catholic or you were pretending to be Catholic and you were not really Catholic, and therefore you were a heretic. And the thing was, not everybody was brought before the Inquisition court because of their religious beliefs. They were also brought there because of their political beliefs, and they were also brought there just because the people in the royal court didn't like them or didn't agree with them or didn't approve of them. And so they were brought before the court of the Inquisition. And sometimes if the charge couldn't be proven, the people would be released. But on the other hand, hundreds of people were tortured to confess. You know, that basically you're going to be tortured until you confess, and then we will kill you after you confess. But at least the torture will be over, right? And they would burn people at the stake, usually out in public, especially if it was someone influential, someone with a great deal of wealth. They would be taken there. The problem was for Spain was that almost everyone who was educated or a scholar or anyone, you know, was a thinker or a writer, they left Spain. Spain lost all of its citizens that were the educated class, the thinking class, the writers, all of that. So it really, for that period of Spain's history, they have no great authors, no great writing, no great scholars. And the other thing that happened was Spain was the only country in all of Europe where Protestant ideas never flourished, never came out, because basically it was a death sentence if you tried to promote the Reformation of the Catholic Church in Spain. So Spain remained the most Catholic of all the countries. And as we move forward, we'll see that the Queen of England will eventually marry the son of Catherine Isabella, which leads to this whole, which eventually pushes the Protestant Reformation forward, because the English hate the Spanish. Because the English and the Spanish have been fighting over gold in South America, and that Spain is getting and England is taking, and so that goes on for years and years. So those are just going to talk about the Spanish Inquisition today. I also just want to see if you remember we did these ancient milestones of history, or what I call them, ancient history milestones. We did this in class. You took notes and all that. Remember that? Please tell me you at least remember doing it.
Yes.
So I forgot something. We have the candy bag. So tell me something that you remember about the Silk Road. Raise your hand. Julie?
There was spices sold.
Spices? Yep. Anybody else? Hope? Say it louder.
Wait.
Yes, exactly. Good. It wasn't just goods and objects. You have something, Carter? Did I see your hand? You want to say the same thing? Great. Go get it. I don't throw well to that side. I warn you.
Fetch.
I didn't say that. She said that. All right. Okay, you mentioned plague. Tell me a little bit about something about the plague. Let me get someone who has it. Or just say it out.
Rats.
Rats brought it.
Killed about like half of Europe.
Yep. About 40%. Come on, you got anything, Addison? Nobi? No? What's the name of it? Black Plague it was called. All right. How about Gutenberg? Who's this guy Gutenberg? Nobi? Printing press. Printing press. Anything else about Gutenberg?
Printing Bibles.
Right? What? Well, no, but okay. Hey, you know what? You get candy for right or wrong answers, right? Because you're putting it out there. So here we've talked about, what did he create to do all this writing and making a Bible? A printing press. Thank you. Very good. All right. Let's see. How about going way back, the rise of agricultural societies, from being hunters and gatherers to farmers? At least it went over your head, not like right in your face.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
I go like this, isn't I?
You like dodged into it.
Yeah, that came up, exactly. I'm trying to throw over so I don't hit anybody in the face.
You're gonna see that in video. It's like throwing candy at people.
What?
Cattle.
Cattle, yes, they started being able to keep cattle.
Horses.
Horses?
Wait, so it was like fertile or what?
Yeah, if the land was fertile, they did
I was
that.
asking about what the question was.
No, rise of agriculture and how it led to complex societies rather than just hunter-gatherer societies. I know you got one, Nobi. You just don't like talking out loud in front of people. So I'll just give you some pity. There you go. Those are pity M&Ms, and now you can tell me something with no pressure. Yes, they did. What kind of animal was especially important?
Horses.
Horses.
Cows.
Horses especially, not so much cows, but good try. And living near what?
Rivers.
Dang, nicely done. Here, Lex, look up. See, that was a nice one. It's the M&Ms and the Skittles that are hardest to throw because they kind of like fly like a sail. And here's one more because you didn't get as much as everybody else. Because you're quieter, so I don't want you to have a disadvantage because you're quiet. It's not fair.
Being quiet hurts.
Oh, that would hurt.
It hurts.
Ready?
It
Ready?
hit my knuckles.
Nice one. All right, y'all did awesome. Well done. I will see you on Monday. Thanks for playing my game.
Yeah, frostbite.
have a quiz.